Happy new and beautiful day, everybody. All right, let me go ahead and do what I normally do on a smaller scale today. And first and foremost, happy new and beautiful day, everyone. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful day. Today is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so divinely grateful to be here. Let me see. Go ahead and put that out there really quickly. All right. I am so divinely grateful to be here, and I hope that everyone is having an amazingly beautiful day. I just wanted to come on here today because it was something that I noticed that I said yesterday that I wanted to expound upon today to give a more in-depth understanding of, and I think I said, wow, this is really interesting. Rich Rising, please do not charge my heart if I say your name wrong. Javette C, gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency, and welcome. Thank you for being here. And I just wanted to say that it was something that I said in my live yesterday, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to expound upon that. So that's why I'm here today. For round 2, okay? So if this looked like a back-to-back, it surely is, and I'm so grateful to be in a space and at a capacity where I'm able to do just that. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm so divinely grateful to be in this space. And it's such a beautiful day, and I hope that you guys once again is having an amazing day as well. All right. So to get everything going and different things of that nature, let me go ahead and put out my disclaimers. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to be. I'm only here to give a perspective of how I understand my now moment. It's just a perception of, how I have put together, how I am experiencing my relative reality, and I am choosing it to share it with you. It's by no means to tell you what to do, but if what I am saying is holding a resonance to that to which is allowing you to be in this space with me here today, that is meaning that you are open for a possible shift in your reality, right? In that same accordance of vibrational state, right? In that same frequency, right? So, it's still your choice at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, and at the end of the day. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, how to be, in terms of the creation of their reality. You are very well capable of doing that on your own. And secondly, more importantly, any information in today's current events that is transpiring in the collective mind that has been placed out there for public consumption, all information that I use on this platform in that capacity is all heavily alleged, for I was not there to account or attest the validity of such said information that has been placed out there for public consumption. I'm only utilizing it to use as an example of what I am making reference to in my commentation here. Anything other than that, it could be not. I was not there to be able to account or attest to the validity of such said information. So all information is heavily alleged. I'm just utilizing it as an example for what I am speaking of here in my commentation on this platform. All right. So now that I got that out of the way, as I was saying, it was something that in review of the live that I did yesterday, it's something that I said that I wanted to really, go in depth so that you could begin, for those who have chosen to move in the essence of coherence and to also, move in the essence of wholeness. And for those who are also open to attune to this resonance of frequency, right? I wanted to give an example of how I understand, what survival state really is, so that people can really hone in what survival is, so that you can begin to understand where you are at if you are choosing to integrate and shift out of survival consciousness and integrate yourself into the essence of what we're calling expanded awareness, right? And what many of you guys are understanding as, the fifth dimensional level of consciousness, to which I just, go ahead and just call it expanded awareness. But for those of you guys that understand it as fifth dimensional level of consciousness, I do inter-exchange and call it fifth dimensional level of consciousness, okay? But I wanted to focus on survival, what survival consciousness is, or 3D consciousness, so that there is not any misconceptions. And I want to emphasize that this is how I understand my now moment. Well, hola, Mr. Cosmos. Cosmos has just entered the building, and I'm so divinely grateful. Cosmos said, hola, I'm listening, just working at the same time. Well, you know what, brother? I'm always grateful for your presence and your resonance. And welcome. Thank you for being here. It's always love at any capacity. Thank you so much. I am so divinely grateful. And welcome. Cosmos has entered the building, y'all. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So I said, let me expound in my clairvoyance and understanding of what survival really is. Okay, so that people can have, an understanding of what survival reality really is. Okay, survival reality is, I'm grateful. Thank you, my brother. Survival reality is any reality that has been created, okay, that you feel that you have created, right, that you have, that you have orchestrated, right, and that you feel that you have to survive, like that if it's a threat-based reality. So anything that you perceive that is going to threaten the reality, that means that you are in survival. And what happens is that you feel that this reality is threatened because you can't perceive anything outside of that reality which you have chosen to experience, right? And so anything that you perceive as a threat, it's only because your perception has not yet expanded far enough to give you the ability to see anything outside of that to which you have created, because your awareness is at a limited perception at the moment, because you have chosen survival reality. So survival is any reality that is perceived to be threatened. And depending on how dysregulated your nervous system is going to be the intensity of how you defend that reality. Okay. So the more dysregulated your nervous system is going to, that is more, you're going to, the intensity of that defense of that, to defend that reality, the intensity is going to be that much greater to defend, right? So this is where the dysregulation of the nervous system comes into part of survival. Because the more dysregulated because your survival reality is you thinking that your reality is in threat mode, and you can, because you don't have the capacity to be able to expand your awareness to think that there is anything other than that to which you have chosen. So anything that comes in, you don't have the expanded awareness or the capacity to expand awareness enough to say that I have other options than that to which I have chosen in this reality. So anything that comes in that you think that is going to threat that reality, you're going to defend that reality. It's going to place you into a survival state, and you're going to defend it because you don't think that there is anything outside of what you have chosen in that reality that could afford you a different reality than that to which you have chosen. So yes, you could be impoverished, or you can be a billionaire. If you have constructed that reality and created that reality in a survival state, and somebody mosey along, or a situation, circumstance, or anything comes along, and something within you, because you are still in survival, and you interpret anything that comes in that is threatening of that reality that you have created or chosen to experience, then you are not at the capacity to have an expanded awareness to understand that there are other essences of realities that you can expand your awareness to become. And it's, that's not the only reality, right? So therefore, your limited perception is going to feel that it is threatened, and you have to defend that current reality, because there is no other reality other than the one that you have chosen. Okay, that is in simplicity, survival reality. Okay, it doesn't matter, because the money is a byproduct of that to which who you are in the reality that you have chosen. Okay, so even if you are $0 or a billionaire, the money is a byproduct to that to which you have chosen. So even if you become a millionaire, a billionaire, and if you are still in threat mode in terms of what you have done in hustle culture to become, and you had to fight and manipulate energy tooth and nail to get where you are through survival instincts, right? You had to survive environments, you had to manipulate environments, you had to survive in environments, and you had to manipulate. That's what the music industry is. That's what it's a lot of manipulation, that you have to survive, environment. You feel that you have to survive environments in order to climb the ladder, in order to be in certain places. So that energy is in the midst of that vibrational state, is in the midst of your perception of your rise into your financial state. So that money is a reflection or a byproduct of that to which you are. So you're still in survival state, because just because you became wealthy in survival state doesn't mean that you have expanded your awareness in fifth dimensional consciousness. No, it just means that you became wealthy, and you may still be able to become triggered, although you have wealth. Okay, so just because you have money doesn't mean that you are in a fifth dimensional or expanded awareness of consciousness. It's not synonymous. It's not synonymous. And I wanted to make that very clear, because a lot of people think that survival is poverty. No, survival is threat. It is a threat-based sense of understanding from a limited perception, because one is not at a capacity to have the perception, to be able to have the perception to expand their awareness, to have a realization that is not the only reality. Okay, it's just that's the reality that has been chosen, because they can't see past the reality that is chosen, and anything that comes into the midst of them trying to if they don't feel that there is no other options, then they are going to defend that reality to the best of their ability, however they perceive their defending are. And some people will do an elimination, some people will deflect, and some people go into depression. Some people go into so many different states of mechanisms, because they don't have the capacity to expand the reality because of their limited perception that they have chosen in the survival reality, because of the limited construct of the 3D consciousness. And I wanted to make that clear. Now, once again, this is how I understand my now moment. And I wanted to make that clear about survival consciousness. And like I said, let me read the title. And I said, let's understand in an in-depth conversation the reality, so that the survival reality, so that you can become aware where you are in the reality. So if you are choosing to, if you are at the cusp, if you are here in this live, or you are moving into the essence of the replay, and you're moving into the essence of what is resonance, you know, this if it's resonate, or I am resonating with you, you are now beginning to have an opportunity to see where you are at in terms of how you are choosing. Because a lot of you guys feel that you are, you know, oh, I'm fifth dimensional consciousness. And once again, I'm not knocking in terms of how you see your state. But if your biology is still in threat mode, you're still going to perceive and create realities in physical, on the physical plane, that of which is survival state, until you're able to reconfigure, recondition your biology to that to which is of the consciousness. But if the consciousness is still operating from 3D perception, from a limited perception, then anything and all things is going to threaten that reality. Especially if and depending on how deeply integrated they are in that limited perception of reality, survival reality, that is what's going to deepen the dysregulation. And so that deepens the defense of that reality. They're going to defend that reality because, hey, that's what they know. You are delusional. You don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing else outside of what they have chosen, because they are deeply integrated into the limited perception of that reality, because they can't see past the reality chosen, no matter what financial, social, economic aspect. It doesn't matter where they are at on the financial scale, on the social class, or anything. They could be wealthy, or whatever the case may be, but if they have a limited perception of consciousness, right, and they cannot see past that essence of consciousness, and they're operating, especially if they're operating off of dysregulation, then they're anything that comes into the essence and they respond to it as a threat to their reality, they're trying to survive that reality chosen. So its survival is any threat that comes to that reality, and they're trying to survive that reality that is chosen. That is survival-based reality. They're trying to survive the reality. Okay? Because they don't have the capacity. The integration is they're fully integrated, embodied. They're fully embodied into the survival state. They have not yet released any of the programs, any of the belief systems, everything that operates, give them full operational access. Yes, they'll say that you're in a cult and trying to change them, but it's about choice. Yeah, they'll call you the devil. They'll do anything to defend that reality. They'll call you the devil. They'll call you all kind of names, and you'll be able to tell, depending on, the words that comes out of their mouth and their reaction, and it'll show how dysregulated they are in. And when I say dysregulation, it doesn't necessarily mean like how it'll show how threatened you have just threatened their reality. And I'll use my personal situation. Like for me, I was at my job, and here's a person that has all the accolades that they needed to maintain their position in that reality, and it was threatened by me because of who I am, because I was not afraid. They were more in fear of me than I was of them. Okay? I threatened their reality, and in their chosen reality, they had all the accolades, they had the education, they had, all of the accolades and different things of that nature. But because I did not fear them, they feared me. So their response system is to get rid of what does not fear them. Their response system is to get rid of the person. Is to get rid of the person that does not fear them. Now, some people may lose their jobs. So in my case, it was to most job constructs. If they are, how can I say it? Let me see how I can put it. Most constructs that are permission based, if you come in and you are operating from an expanded awareness, and you know that you have options, and you get to telling people that, your signal is able to sway or influence others and different things of that nature, then they don't want you around, because they thrive. They're threatened off of your presence, your tone. And you don't have to do anything. Your being is enough, because you operate from an expanded awareness. And so therefore you're wondering, like, well, what did I say? You don't have to say anything. It's just that your being is enough. Okay. And this is where you get into the cross contaminate of, perceptions of how realities actually work at the quantum field level, right? Where it's no longer vibrationally attuned. For those who have chosen, the limited version of the third dimensional aspect of being, or the 3D reality, which is a limited perception, because they can't see past the construct of what they have chosen. So anything outside of that to which they have chosen, okay, it becomes a threat to that reality. And even if someone, let's say, have a little bit more consciousness and is aware, and they have, and they're knowing that, okay, if this person gets into the midst of this reality, we can't control these people, and we have to maintain the integrity, and I have to stay over here, but we want these group of people. They know that they cannot have certain people with certain educational factors or certain behavioral patterns. If they are consciously aware, and this is where the chess involvement comes into part, they can't have certain people consciously aware in the midst of the sheep. And this is where they call it the black sheep. They got to get the black sheep out of the pasture, because they can't have that energy comes into the midst of it, changing and shifting the dynamic of how they want this particular, diaspora to actually move energetically. Okay. And this is where I say, energy can shift. It doesn't take much to shift, narratives and different things of that nature. Okay. So this is why, you have to be now particular of what you consume, and no longer become a consumptive type person. If you are now coming a little bit aware that, okay, got to be something else out there, that I, more than what it is that I am experiencing. And I always tell you guys, once you become, once you begin to question the reality, the somatic you within the nervous system that is beaconing, to which I call the sovereign signal, that is awakening within you, because now you are questioning a reality. And this is a keynote sign. This is a key. Okay, there it goes. I don't know what happened, but it gave me a really long pause, but I am back. Hopefully everything is okay with the live. All right. But, as I've said, you have to, as I've said, it is really up to you to decide, when you become a little bit aware, it gives you a momentum to be able to say, okay, Your somatic is telling you, when you question the reality, that there is more. There's more to it than what is meeting the eye, what you are actually choosing. Okay. And even though the illusion is saying to you that it's kind of somewhat navigating you into a belief system, because you're hearing things from an external and you are internalizing it, right? So you hear things from an external, okay, but you are internalizing it, okay? And so this is ultimately because you have reversed the polarity and you're internalizing it. But that internalizing it, you have to still agree with what you are experiencing from an external value. But what I'm doing here is just really, wanting you guys to understand what survival really is. Hi, Mary. Hi, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful, and welcome. It's interesting. My live just paused, but it finally came back. So I'm grateful. It paused for a long time, but it held. So I'm grateful. So welcome. Thank you for being here. So yes, so survival it does not have anything to do with you being, survival reality, at a consciousness level is not based off of social economic standards, where your money is at. Survival reality from a consciousness perspective is a reality that is chosen, right? That is threatened in any kind of way, and there is not enough capacity within that person's perception to perceive anything expanded beyond what they have chosen as far as that reality is concerned. So anything that comes in that threatens that reality, they are going to defend that reality to survive that reality. Because they do not believe that there is anything other than that reality out there. Now, if they have become wealthy, especially if they came from poverty, their perception of poverty, and they have acquired wealth, and they don't want to go back to poverty, because that's the only reality that they know, because they can't see anything expanded beyond what they perceive themselves that they have acquired from a monetary perspective, because they don't understand that their money is just a byproduct of that to which who they are. If they still have a limited capacity because they don't have the expanded consciousness, and if anything threatens that reality and they are triggered and they feel that that reality is threatened, where they have to defend the reality, and it triggers a defense response, then they are on survival reality, because they are at a limited capacity, because they have not yet chosen to expand the consciousness. That is survival reality. It does not have anything to do with social economic standards of poverty or anything. It has everything with the capacity of consciousness. Okay? So you can be, hi Tyler. Hi my beautiful friend. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for wonderful. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so delighted and grateful to have you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So yes, so when people say survival consciousness is different than survival from a from a monetary perspective. I'm trying to survive, to pay Peter, from rob Peter to pay Paul. Survival consciousness, 3D reality consciousness, that is a different scope of understanding than that to which you're trying to survive, from day to day. Okay. Survival consciousness, survival reality, right, is that to which any reality that you have chosen, you can't see past that reality. Much Tyler said, much appreciated. I love seeing you do your own thing. Well, I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Thank you. Right? So survival consciousness, I just want to differentiate, because I know what a lot of people talk about. Wait, well, if you ain't got no job and I ain't talking about that part of survival. I'm talking about, but that part of survival does have a lot to do with your limited perception of reality, because if you have a sense of expanded awareness, you will realize that you will begin to clean house of what you are allowing within the repertoire of your consciousness, so that you could begin to make room for what it is that you want to experience, because you will begin to understand that there is more to consciousness than what you are allowing to be. It's only the reason why your bills are, the reason why you're experiencing your reality the way that you are, is because you have agreed to the limited perception of reality that is projecting the reality in the manner to which you have agreed upon what you have chosen to experience, right? And if anybody comes to you and try to tell you anything different, your survival state to that reality is going to kick in, and you're going to defend it. Depending on how dysregulated your nervous system is going to constitute the intensity of that defense. Because you got some people that's going to defend their reality to the end, even if it's the worst reality that they are experiencing, they're going to defend it to the end. Just like even with the race card. No matter how much I know, nobody wants to experience racism. They keep saying racism exists. Racism exists. Well, if you don't want racism to exist, why keep constantly perpetuating an experience that you don't want? Because you are at a limited capacity in a survival consciousness, and you have not yet expanded your consciousness to be able to see past that limitation. That is survival consciousness. That is survival reality. That's survival consciousness. That you can't see past the limitation, and you constantly regurgitate and re-enunciate a reality that you don't even prefer to be a part of, but because you're capacitated, because you're fully integrated into survivor reality, you don't have the capacity to expand the reality until you begin to let go of what you no longer want to experience. You have to begin to let go of what you no longer to experience, to make room for the light of the expanded awareness to come in, so that you can begin to integrate that light, so that you can begin to have the perceptual awareness of other realities outside of that to which you have chosen to limit yourself from. And I just wanted to bring a sense of clarity to how I understand my now moment on survival consciousness, so that you can so just like you have to fully integrate the light consciousness of expanded awareness, to which many of you guys call fifth dimensional consciousness, so that you can project that light into the physical plane to experience the five dimensional consciousness in physical form. Just understand that until you choose to let go some of the programs, the belief systems, and the ideologies that you have now, that you are fully capacity of in that limited awareness of consciousness, until you let go of the belief systems and those programs, until you relax them and release them, you're still going to be embodied and project that reality until you decide to relax them or release them. And that's the only way. You got to make room for embodiment of the light consciousness that expands your awareness. Otherwise, you're going to continuously project limited consciousness that you're going to constantly defend if threatened. Okay? So survival consciousness is any consciousness that you feel that you got to protect and defend, no matter how jacked a foobar it is, because you don't have the capacity to understand anything other than what you are experiencing. Because what you are experiencing is the real deal Holyfield, because you have not yet chosen the ability to expand your awareness by allowing more light into your biology to project a different reality. Now, I know I'm saying a lot. Okay, I know I'm saying a lot, and it is going to fly over a lot of people's heads, because it just is until it won't. It's in you, but you got to choose it. Anything and everything that I say is within all of us. It just has to be chosen, right? So just like you chose to accept the values of third density consciousness, just like you chose to accept the value of third density consciousness, okay, through lineage, DNA lineage, environment, epigenetics, all of that, and what you picked up along the way. Now you got to subtract. You got to let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. You got to let it go so that you can make room for the elevated light consciousness that allows you to have an expanded awareness, to give you a different perceptionary measure of what you can experience also too in physical form, in the physical plane. Okay? But you no matter, and the thing about it is, for a consciousness that's going to come and tell you, what do you mean? Of course it exists. Of course it's real. Of course it's that. Of course, who is you? Something is wrong with you, and you're going to have to look at that person who has not chosen to expand their awareness, who is fully integrated and embodied in 3D consciousness. You're going to have to look at that person and be like, yes, you're right for the reality that you have chosen, and be okay with that, and do not have any argument for that particular person, because they're anchored in that chosen reality. You do not argue with a person that has chosen a limited reality. When you have chosen to expand yours through consciousness. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I am talking about consciousness awareness that is going to ultimately result you into having a different reality. Okay? It's going to result you into having a different, because you're adding more repertoire of options to your ability to choose from at a different frequency. And you're going to be able to more attract through expansion than contraction. Mary said, yes, going through that with my yes. And see, the thing about you arguing with that person, that gravity pulls you down into their reality, into their limited perception. And you're trying to shift out of that momentum. You can't convince someone, because think about it. In that reality, you don't need convincing for something that you've already experienced. You don't need it, because we've already been in third density. We've already been in third density. But our hearts is trying to convince somebody else to expand their awareness. But if they're not open enough to become in a space of possibility, to at least hold a space of resonance for attunement, it's like talking to a brick wall. When you see that when they go into defense mode, as soon as they go into defense mode and they're trying to defend that reality, that is your cue. That's your cue. That's your cue. That's your cue. Now you can sit there if you want to and try to convince consciousness that has chosen and solidified limited version of consciousness. They want to experience limitation in third consciousness, third dimensional consciousness, and they're not even open to explore expansion awareness. And you're trying to convince them you're bringing your vibrational state down back into a reality that you are no longer choosing. She wants to argue with me, and it is angry that I won't play with her. Well, yes. Now that's another thing, okay? Because when consciousness see that, when a limited version see that their reality is, when the ego see that there is a reflection of itself is dissolving that reality, it will get in a panic because it's seeing itself being dissolved, and it's like it thinks that it's losing a momentum. Okay, so it got to try to get you back on track, to try to get you so that it can start see. It's like you looking in the mirror, but the reflection is disappearing. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't see myself anymore. What the hell is going on, right? Because you now is looking in the mirror, and it's like it's disappearing. It's not no longer seeing a reflection of itself anymore in the same vibrational state. And so when that person is trying to get you triggered back into that vibrational state, and you won't argue with them, and you won't vibrationally attune with them so that they can see their reflection anymore. Oh yes, it's and you have to, me and my best friend, we're no longer friends, and I don't hate her. I love her the same way, but she could not see a reflection in me anymore. And that bothered her. She could not see a reflection in me anymore. And I was not finna argue with that. So as a matter of fact, she ended the friendship. And I was fine with it, because during that time, it was hard for me to break up with her, because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I tried to break up with her, and she wasn't even ready. She was, she said, "Oh, you're just like my husband." She told me I was just like her husband. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't never want to work out nothing. But I realized it wasn't nothing to work out, because I knew what it was. She didn't know what it was. But I knew what it was. She did not see the reflection of herself within me. Okay? I knew what it was. And I didn't have the heart to break up with her. So when she wanted to break up with me, I was happy about it. Hi, Tori. Hey, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome. Hi, Golden Sugar. Oh, my goodness. All my beautiful ladies. Hi, Golden Sugar. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome. Yeah, it's like when you have chosen to expand your consciousness, and you have beings that you have shared that limited perspective of consciousness with, and they see that you want to, the mirror is the reflection is disappearing. They're no longer seeing themselves. So they're trying to get that reflection to come back into the mirror again. And when they can't get that reflection to come back to the mirror again, they get angry. So they want to trigger you to come back into the mirror. Come back to the mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the greatest of them all? And so you see the reflection to come back. You're the greatest. You're this, you're that, because they need that reflection to validate their existence. That ego need that reflection in order to validate their existence. And then you see the mirror disappear, right? And it only comes back to validate that reality, to validate the reality that is chosen. And then when they turn away from the mirror, then the reflection is gone. And then when they go back to the mirror, they still got to call the reflection of the mirror to come back in the vibrational state that it's in. Mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of the all? And then the mirror comes back and say, my God, and you're the greatest of the all. And then it wants the mirror to reflect the truth. But then when the truth decides to reflect the mirror, the person on the other side don't like the truth, and that's when it gets angry. And then you see the mirror dissolve again because it's no longer a reflection in truth. Okay? Right? So that's the part that, we don't understand about the vibrational attunement to the restricted or limited version of third dimensional consciousness, survival consciousness, not survival in the state of I got to pay my bills, but survival consciousness and expanded awareness, survival limitation of consciousness and expanded awareness of consciousness. Survival reality is when is a consciousness that has chosen limitation, and it's choosing not to see anything other than what it has chosen to experience. And it doesn't matter how much money they got. If that reality that they have chosen in limitation feels threatened, it will go into survival to defend it. And what defend look like? Oh, well, we know what defend can look like depending on how dysregulated that nervous system is and at what cost it will go to defend that reality. So to give you an example of real life experiences, there are some relationships that people in dysregulation, they don't want to let go. They don't want to let go of the reality. No matter how bad the relationship is, they arguing, fussing, and fighting. And they, instead of walking away and everybody remain whole and intact, if you go, I go. I got to take you with me. That's dysregulation. They don't see themselves past that relationship, no matter how dysfunctional or dysregulated that relationship is, because they're operating from a dysregulated state. Okay? This is consciousness. This is quantum. I'm breaking it down quantum so that y'all can understand these everyday experiences and what it looks like at a quantum level in energy, frequency, and vibration, and how it affects the aspects of how the biology responds to it in your everyday life, because you have chosen it. That's why when you get into that's why marriage, okay, like the understand Jada Pinkett and Will Smith marriage, and this is heavily alleged. I don't know their situation. I'm not there for their situation. I'm only going based off of what has been placed out there visibly in the group chat, in the collective group chat for public consumption. Okay? All right? They operate from a fifth dimensional essence to which a third dimensional conceptual mind from a limited version would not understand. But somebody like me get the gist that the only thing in the physical plane that keeps them bounded is legalities, right? They're legally married. Okay? Legally. So they have chosen to move separately, but operate legally because of their expanded awareness. A limited perceptionary mind is not going to understand that dynamic because they got morals they got the limited version of consciousness, and I'm going to keep constantly repeating it until you guys understand how consciousness operates. The limited version of consciousness got religion, it got morality, it got this, that, and the other. It got all of these limited barriers that is there for the consciousness to experience limitation. But in an expanded awareness, those barriers are dissolved and we have boundaries. No longer barriers, but we have boundaries. What we will and will not do. Okay? Because we understand that those realities still exist in that vibrational state of being. Because we have expanded our awareness. So we understand that we're not bound to that limited perspective of, oh, because you're married and the law of the land and the religion say that, oh, you got to stay together in order. No, that you ain't finna disturb my damn peace. Because the limited thing said, oh, it's X, Y, and Z, we got to go through this. No, the devil is a lie. That ain't happening. Okay? Because we have expanded awareness. We know there's options outside of what the limited parameters have said that we had to endure. Okay? Because we've expanded awareness. We have dissolved enough to allow more light to encompass our essence of being to afford us a different reality. Okay? So an expanded awareness of consciousness is going to understand that. A limited mind operating from a limited construct who believes in that construct ain't gonna get it. Ain't gonna get no argument from me, because you're not gonna bring me down into that limited version to where that vibrational state operates. In order for I'm not gonna be that reflection in that vibration anymore. You're not gonna bring me into that vibration anymore, and that limited version of consciousness to where it actually resides. I ain't doing that. I'm gonna let you have that one. You can have that one. And I'm gonna tell you, ain't nobody in no argument. I'm not upset. Sometimes they'll try to tell you what you getting upset for. And you might have to say, well, where was the upset at? I ain't upset. I ain't mad. They'll try to deflect. They the one getting upset. And they mad because you ain't upset. So they'll tell you that you upset. And if you ain't grounded, you might be like, nah, I wasn't upset, but now you're making me upset because you're calling me upset. But you can't even get upset because that'll be a trigger. So you have to be grounded so that when they try to deflect you being upset when you ain't upset, you grounded in your reality, your chosen reality, so that even when they try to project something on you that you're not, you can stand true to your true reality, and you can recognize the thief in the night. You can recognize the thief in the night when they try to play and manipulate the energy. Because they want to see a reflection. They want to see a reflection, and you look wiggly woggly right now. They can't see themselves clearly through you because you are no longer vibrationally attuned to that to which of the reality that they have chosen. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all? And as long as the mirror is reflecting the truth in them, they copacetic. They cool, calm, and collected. But when that mirror starts dragging into the truth, they want to get the remote control and cut that mirror off. Okay? Because the mirror ain't projecting that reality that they have chosen. Okay? Now y'all starting to get these little nursery rhymes and all, and see how, the truth has always been in plain sight. Okay? But I wanted to make clear, so now you know where you are at in survival. So like when somebody come to me and try to tell me about fifth dimensional consciousness, right? That I'm crazy. I could get mad. Then I'm in survival. No matter how much I'm aware, if I let somebody trigger me, I have reverted back to survival reality because I feel like I have to defend my choice. I don't have to defend my choice. I'm not trying to survive my reality. My choice is my choice. It's not for me to survive the choice that I have made. It's for me to experience the choice that I have made, not to survive the choice I have made. Because the choice that I have made in the reality is a safe choice. Mary says, yes, because they can't see themselves in us anymore. Yes. And they need a reflection of themselves in order for the ego to feel that it's still viable. In order for their reality to see, there's still viability in that choice. And when they no longer see that there is any viable, that means that the consciousness is starting to see that the reality is being threatened, that it's up for dissolution. And this is why you guys had a problem with, coming over to the other side of the rainbow, because the other side of the rainbow is I don't know what the other side of the rainbow is, because people are not at the capacity because they're fully integrated into survival of the chosen reality. They haven't let go of what takes them out of survival state, and that's the belief systems that hold them accountable to that reality. That's what you plugged into. You know how they had them plugged into all of the programs of the survival. You gotta unplug. That's what you gotta unplug. You gotta let go of them belief systems, those limited beliefs. You gotta let it go. I'm only regurgitating what I let go, the major ones, the major illusions, separation of ones, them fear based. What was holding me into the survival reality? It may be yours may be entirely different. What's holding you into the survival reality? But that's where the authenticity comes into part. You have to be true to yourself. And you have to have that conversation with yourself. And just start plugging it so that you can make room for more light to come into because the light is there. If you are aware and then you don't question the reality and you like, what the hell is this? And I know it's more. Well, the light is just waiting. You have, the light is there for your expanded awareness. You just ain't integrated into your biology for it to be able to expand that projection into the reality of on the physical plane. So now you got to start pulling the plug to a lot of limited beliefs that you're holding on to in the front ground and the background. And when you see things that are triggering you, that's your key to say, okay, I'm not really threatened here. Now, a real threat to your biology is a real threat. Like you got something in your face that's threatening your physical existence on this plane. That's a real threat. You run from that shit. If you got a damn bear chasing you, that's a real threat. If you got somebody threatening your life with a weapon, that's a real threat. Those are real threats, okay? Nobody ain't saying dismiss that kind of stuff, because those are real threats to the biology of you, to which your nervous system should respond to. You're not supposed to be aloof to that shit and be like, oh, it ain't no real. No, that's a real goddamn threat, okay? But all this other mediocrity shit with people running off at the mouth and all this stuff that you could avoid and you don't have no argument. And then when you start raising your frequency, you would not be attuned to these people anyway. They'll come out of your state unless you choose to be in their space. And then sometimes you got to let them go, family go too. When these family members are really off the chain. Because these labels is another thing. Because they're your son, your daughter, your sister, your brother. Just because they got these titles and these labels don't mean that they're not, they're dysregulated by their choice. Dysregulation because of how they see the reality chosen. By all the little compartments that they are choosing to continue to allow to be operational, viable, and functional, that is projecting the reality that they're on a constant agreement with. Even when they don't want it to be. But they don't have the capacity to see past the reality, so they stay in agreement because they feel that it is safer. It's the lesser of two evils. It's safe to be in this reality that they know. You hear what they say? It's better to deal with the devil that you know than the devil that you don't know. So it's safer to deal with the devil that I know than to go over there and deal with the devil that I don't know. So they deal with it. And you wonder why everybody's sick. You wonder why people broke. You wonder why nobody don't have what they want. You just wonder why. You wonder why. Okay? So I'm going to bring everyday experiences. This is a foundational sense of survival. I'm going to also get into the essence of what expanded awareness is and how that looks and different things of that nature. But I'm in motion too. I'm in motion too. But I wanted to get more of a foundational sense in terms of how I understand my now moment, what survival consciousness look like. Don't let it be limited to you in terms of, it's because I'm trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. No, that's just trying to survive your choice and byproducts. Mary says, so few know how to meet people where they are at, even if it's different than yourself. They don't know how to agree to disagree and drop it. Right. The key thing is that don't impose your reality onto anybody. Just don't. Just make it a point that's why when I do my commentation and different things of that nature, I may send my lives out to people that normally showed interest in me. But I'm getting to a point, I'm going back to my old self where I'm not going to even send my lives out to anybody anymore. And I'm just going to now begin to allow it to naturally have an organic state where my frequency is just going to bring a resonance to those who are interested in what I have to say. Because you don't want to impose yourself on beings that are not ready for what it is that you have to say, or don't even find value into what you have to say. You understand? Because they're not in agreement with what you have to say, or even for the matter of how you may be saying it. They may get more, they may get more clarity and understanding from another way, another vessel might be able to articulate it. Okay? Because there's somebody out there for everybody. And when someone has chosen to, expand their reality so that the translation can become more tolerable, right? And more receptive so that it could be an easier, to make the transition an easier process as much as possible. Consciousness is a very, very intelligent aspect. It's of itself. We're very intelligent beings, but contrary to what we act like, we're just acting. We're acting like we ain't intelligent, so we can experience that aspect of whatever. We're just acting, and even our acting like we're not intelligent is highly intelligent. Okay, we're so good at acting that we're unintelligent that, like, God, is believable. This shit is believable, right? We believe that we're so unintelligent, okay? And we don't know that is a whole entire act, okay? Like based off of all that has come together for that experience to be what it is, because it took intelligence in order for that to be able to be. That's some real shit right there. And nobody would, hey, I'm just saying. That's some real stuff. Okay? Right? I keep so much more to myself. I've never been one to push or chase. I'm half into her and half into extrovert, and my introvert is gaining more ground. Yeah, the beauty about, being whatever it is, and I don't want beings to, it is, right? It's a real SHIT. The beautiful thing about being period is that you get to choose how you want to be. And I don't want to allude that 3D limited consciousness is a bad thing. It's not good or bad. It's a choice. But what happens is that the limited version of consciousness has been, ain't nothing wrong with it, cause do what you do, brother. Ain't nothing wrong with it. This gonna be on, it's gonna be on YouTube, so you guys will have the liberty to go on my YouTube channel to look at it as much as you like. It'll be there. And what I've noticed with YouTube, what I love about YouTube, there is a spot on YouTube that says ask. And so what YouTube does on my videos, it'll allow you to ask questions about that video, and it'll give you a breakdown and the timestamps to where I'm referring to what it has broken down conceptually about the live video or any video that I upload. So I do love that about the way my videos have been uploading. It gives you the ability to have a quick summary. It gives you a quick summary of it, and it gives you some of the questions that it is able to capture from the video that you could go on the right hand side, and you could, or I don't know where it's at. It's on the right hand side on my laptop, but on the phone I think it's down somewhere at the bottom. Gemini, it's a little star, so you can touch that and you can ask questions, and the questions are based on what it has captured in the live, and it gives you the timestamps to where this is actually speaking upon. So it's a really good mechanism through Gemini, and I'm so grateful for that. Beautiful. I can watch it there too. That's right. Yes, you can. The replay in its full capacity, you could always go there and watch it there too, for those who are not, here doing live and different things of that nature. All right. Always a backup plan. Okay. Always a backup plan. But yes, I don't want to give the perception that, any essence of consciousness is right or wrong. It's just that one is very, very restrictive or limited more than the next. Yes, Mary, it is very nice to have, and I really appreciate that option because it does give a more clear, cogent breakdown. So I'm very grateful for that, and so that is there for people that wants a little bit more clarity if they're not really understanding the gist of how I am commentating. So it helps in that form. So I'm very grateful for that. But I'm going to be, taking real life experiences, giving you guys, my perception, of course, of what it is, so that you guys can take your everyday life. But it really is that, until people can understand the simplicity side of it, because a lot of times what the limited version of self wants is the complexities. And that's why so much in the limited version of self is so complex, because it's more, it's constrictive instead of expansion. It's constrictive. It's limited. It's constrictive, right? And so therefore that's why it's so complex. Okay. But as I've said, I'm going to take everyday experiences and, quantify them as much as I possibly can, so that you guys can now see the whole picture instead of the limited one that we have constantly been inundated in. But the only beings that are going to be in this mist is the one who chooses to be. Because as I've said, I'm not going to push this narrative or anyone. It has to be chosen. It really does have to be chosen, because you're going to get into a long diatribe and an argument with somebody that is in survival consciousness, that is chosen survival consciousness, and they're going to defend it. And like I said, it's not that they're wrong. They are not wrong. They just have not chose to expand beyond what has been chosen. And when they're ready, they will. They're going to defend it to the T. But depend on my key thing about approaching someone or getting engaged with someone, you have chosen to expand your awareness, right? And for whatever the reasons are that you are expanding your awareness, it's going to afford you a different reality. Okay? It's going to afford it. Exactly. And nothing forced cause to cause. It's going to afford you a different reality. It's going to afford you a different reality. My thing is that you're trying to oppose your, and you buck up on this really fully integrated limited version, dysregulated, severely dysregulated 3D conscious mindset. Okay, and you get hit like opening up an oven that's 1,000 degrees, and that energy hit you in the face like woof. You know what I'm saying? You get hit with it and you like, whoa, what the mitigated God just happened, because they going to offend that reality and be ready to hit you upside the head with a brick or whatever the case may be. You don't want to buck up on, such a dysregulated nervous system, because they don't see their reflection in you at all, because they damn near in the damn abyss. They in their abyss. They don't see, and that's where they get mad at you, because they don't see a reflect. They cannot identify with you at all. Like, no matter how much, and that's where it don't matter if the mother or you the daughter, if they can't see a reflection of themselves with you, and they're not willing to rise, or if you are not willing to fall into their space where they can see themselves in you, because they're in survival, because survival is that I need a reflection to show my ego that reality still exists, that the reality is still there, because any form of where this reality is appearing to dissolve, where do I have to go? I don't know no other reality, because I'm fully integrated and capacitated to just this reality alone, because I have not yet let go of anything for more light to come in through expanded awareness to give me a different perception or perspective that other realities exist. So I need constant reflection that this 3D reality still exists. And here you are. I can't see you. I don't see myself in you. So I'm mad as hell. I'm mad at you, and I don't even know why I'm mad at you. You know why I'm mad at you? Because I don't see myself in you. So I'm going to walk around in dysregulation with a whole unit towards you, because I can't see my reflection in you. I don't see my reflection in you anymore. And I don't understand why I'm mad with you, but the dysregulation is because they're dysregulated so tough is why they're angry. That's why they're mad. Now, somebody that is not as dysregulated, they'll probably be like, oh, well, I still, believe in the Lord. And the Lord will make a way. They still got hope. They not as dysregulated. They still in agreement with the limited reality. But, they still got a little bit of hope. They still got a little bit of love in there. But a whole dysregulated nervous system and everything, no, they mad as mud. They mad, angry, all discombobulated. You don't want to buck up against no severely dysregulated nervous system. Okay? They say we trying to be God and serve self. Yes, because that's the survival self at any cost. There it's going. But see, the thing about it is, you'll be aware to know. You're aware. They're the ones that is at capacity, fully integrated in the limited version of consciousness that's going to throw out all stops to defend that reality. They're going to defend it with everything. They're going to defend it with everything. The ones that still got God, got love in their heart, and like, God got me, Jesus got me, because remember, they still got, the limited consciousness still got religion. It still, got all the limitation that comes in religion, so they still operating from a limited state, but they not as full bar as, they not as dysregulated. They dysregulated, but they not as dysregulated. They not as angry. You understand what I'm saying? So, you got a little leeway. You know what I'm saying? They ain't trying to hurt nobody. You understand what I'm saying? They're not trying to knock you upside the head or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Just because they don't really see their reflection in you. But they will go behind their back to who they do see a reflection of. And they'll talk about you like a dog. They'll talk about your girl, child. That she don't believe in God, honey, child. I don't know. She going straight to hell. they, you know, they ain't trying to hurt you. But when they do get around somebody who they do see a reflection of, where they can breathe again, like, whoo, I do see myself. Ooh, here goes Sister Mary. You know what I'm saying? And they go see Sister Mary, right? Not you, Mary, but the other Sister Mary, right? They go see Sister Mary, and they go and say, whoo, child went over there and seen Sister Patrice. And I don't see that reflection in Patrice no more. Child, she believe in this whole thing. And child, she don't believe in what we believe in no more. And child, honey, you know, she don't serve no God, child. She don't know. But in your face, she like, yeah, I know, girl, you know. All right, then we'll talk later. And as soon as you get out of your face, okay, we got, right? As soon as they get out, girl, you know, I just saw Pie. And, you know, Pie, you know, she's still on that. She's still on that. And let me tell you something, they be in the church and they cuss more than me and you. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you know, she on time, but you know, I don't deal with that no more, cause you know, yeah, that's that devil stuff. That's that devil talk. That's that devil talk. And but they see their reflection now. They done got in their reflection and they can talk about you. But when they can't see their reflection in you, okay. Or they won't talk to you at all. Okay? They won't even deal with you at all, which is also a good thing too. Okay? So they ain't trying to hurt you. But a dysregulated nervous system that want to argue and defend and talk about what you talking about. What you talking about? You don't see what's going on right now. You don't see how this current administration is got this all jacked up, and you don't see it. And they can't see past what the reality is. And they don't know what you don't have to believe in that. You're choosing to believe it. If I try to go and say you don't have to believe in the current administration, I mean, you do got options. What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have to believe in the current administration? Don't you see what's happening right now? Well, I mean, you don't have to. You're choosing to do. You back up. You back up. Back up. You don't get into no long diatribe of a conversation when they can't see past what they have chosen in the limited mind, in the limited reality, in the limited consciousness, because you can see that you got options. I got options. But when they have chosen the limited reality and they tired of the limited reality, and the limited reality got them foobar, and the limited reality got them mad, disgruntled, because they are at full capacity, fully embodied into the limited version of self through consciousness, and they're defending it even though they are sick and tired of being this, sick and tired, and they won't let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. They are surviving the reality, and they're defending the very reality that they are tired of, because they won't let it go to offer more capacity, to get more light to come in, to afford them expanded realities, expanded awareness to project expanded realities. Cause they full of shit, yeah. Okay? They full of it, but they're not aware. You know, that's why I said you gotta have compassion, because in truth, they have chosen, and they're so deeply integrated into the essence of the reality, right? They're not aware. They're because they can't bring in the awareness, because they're so angry and they're so dysregulated. They gotta handle their dysregulation first. I mean, it makes sense to me. Yeah, right? And I know that I'm a bit animated and different things of that nature, because I brought the 808 into this thing. And because I wanted people to feel what, I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? I want that vibration to be feel. Yes, I'm grounded. I'm very grounded. I'm sorry, I'm solid into what it is that I have chosen. And it's getting stronger and stronger. Hi, Abdul Abdin. Assalamu alaikum. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I'm so divinely grateful. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful. Yeah, and I just wanted to, I listened to my live yesterday. And I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about that because I think I talked a little bit about it. And I said, I'm going to expound on that because it came up in something. I can't remember like how it came up, but I wrote it down and I said, let me explain and expound on that a little bit more and give real life events and what it looks like, what it sounds like, everyday events so that beings can understand it without judgment. I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just giving you the B-roll of what it looks like. It's not to judge anybody. You understand what I'm saying? But this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. This is what my choice of experience in terms of what the B-roll in my experiences has brought me in the projection, right? This is what my film in my choice of what I've saw in my life has brought me. And this is what I saw. This is how I saw people respond and react and different things of that nature. And now that my expanded awareness has afforded me to understand it. You may understand it in a different way, but the resonance of what I'm saying will allow you to get the gist. Well, welcome back, beautiful. Gratitude. Welcome back, right? The resonance will give you the ability to get the gist. Okay? And that's the key thing in terms of how you are going to now understand how to expand your awareness. I'm saying that yes, religion is a limited construct, okay? Because it limits you from, if you're not interpreting it properly, you will move in limitation. Okay? Morality is a limited construct because you could have boundaries. Okay? But because you understand energy, because energy allows boundaries to commence. But morals stop you from being that to which you are free to be. And that's what the limiting construct of what that is. But a person is going to defend that in that reality. And I'm not here to argue with nobody. I'm not here to argue with nobody. You can have morals. And I still do have morals, but my morals are through what you perceive as morals. I have boundaries, okay? I'm not going to vibrationally attune myself to that to which I do not want to experience. Okay? All right, so you just understand the reality in a more attuned, refined way. No longer from that which restricts you from expression. Okay? All right, and that's the difference. But I'm not here to tell nobody what to do or how to be, because I realize wherever you are, you have chosen to be there. And through you, you have created that, you are creation. Through you, your reality is projecting. Whatever that is. What you have picked up along the way in terms of what has cultivated within you that is now giving you this beautiful result through this beautiful divine intelligence. And like I say, even if you are acting as if you don't have intelligence, understand the divine intelligence for you to be able to act that you don't know. Intelligence went into that. The most intelligent intelligence went into the fact that you have the ability to perceive that you don't have intelligence. It took intelligence for that to commence. Okay? So this mechanism is beyond, it's there's no words. It's very intelligent. It's beyond intelligent. I don't think it's a word for it. If there's a word, it's no word. It's a frequency that there's no word for it. Okay. And you are a part of the fabric of that. You are a part of the fabric of that. And it's beautiful, indeed, even for what we perceive as, the dysregulated beings that are experiencing the limited perception of realities through survival. And I don't, like I said, I want people to understand that survival consciousness is not about money in the way that, we originally tried to kind of push that off. It's not about that. Okay, that's one of the byproducts of it, but that's not the foundation. That's not the founding originations of it. It's just one of the results from it. Okay, because you don't perceive yourself past that to which you have agreed to become. You have agreed to become in the experience. So with that being said, I'm not going to take up too much of you guys' time, because I think that this was a very productive live that I am so proud of, that I am so excited about, because it's so pure. It's so pure tone. It's so authentic. And I just so love being in this space. And I just wanted to really get it out while it was so fresh, hot off the press within my repertoire of being. Because I think that is really important, for those who are in the midst of this transition. My next conversation is going to be about artificial intelligence, because a lot of people are looking at artificial intelligence side eye. And I want to give my perspective. Once again, it's just my perspective from, a sense of expanded awareness. I wanted to give my perspective about artificial intelligence. I have so much that I can share. I have a whole list of stuff. And I skipped all of that I was prepared to talk about today. I skipped that just to jump on board to talk about this, because of what I said in my live yesterday, which was, talking about manipulation of energy. And I used the situation, the current event that's transpiring right now with what's the name? Can't think of the name now. Papoose and Clarissa Shields. But the only reason why I favored that particular dynamic with the young lady, because she operates from a major dysregulated state of being. That's dysregulation. Okay. And it's very and I could go much deeper into that, but we could either fuel the dysregulation, or we can, right now the collective mind is fueling the dysregulation instead of supporting the healing of it. And I think that we could reverse the polarity of that if we just regardless of whether or not if they are receptive of it or not, we can set the intention of putting out positive energy of what we would like for the reality to be. And that's the part that many of us do not understand. The limited perception is just going to constantly give what the reality is producing, because they can't see past that. Okay, I don't have to just match that energy. I can see what the energy is producing, realizing that it's not a threatening energy. So I do have the capacity to say, oh, okay, well, even though it's not desired, it's not an energy that I would particularly desire. But if I can begin to see the other version of that person in the desired energy, I can begin to speak on that version of self that I do want to experience of that version of self. So even though I know and I'm aware of this version of what is happening, and I understand that this version of this person is choosing this reality, I also know that there is another version in the polarity or the polar opposite or the yang of that person, right? That too is available if that person ever decides to choose that version of self. So if I want to see that version, I begin to speak on that version. And that's why at the end of that live, I said, well, one thing that I know about this person is that they're good on their boxing. And one thing that I also know about it is that I saw that this person was trying, and I'm reiterating that so because we have choice. We have choice to bring in the reality that we want to experience instead of constantly inundating. A limited reality is going to constantly inundate the reality that they don't prefer because they can't see past the reality chosen. So I'm just going to constantly add gasoline to the fire because I don't see that there is another reality past the reality that has been out there. I don't see it. So I'm just going to constantly give, wood to the fire. Okay. I'm just going to give wood. And what does a wood do? It just burns out and I got to keep adding fuel to it. And I'm just going to constantly, but a person that can see past the reality and know, oh, okay, well, it's a whole nother reality out there of a different version of Clarissa Shields, a different version of Papoose. Let's start talking about this version of what we would like to experience of this version of Papoose. That's what the fifth dimensional consciousness does. So somebody has to set the tone and take the example in this relative reality. And that's what I'm not seeing people do. So I'm taking the opportunity to say that although she's choosing this reality, many of you feel like there's no hope for her. And in essence, to translate that, and in anybody that's operating in dysregulation, it's not just for her, it's anybody. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying it in a way that people are choosing. There's a polar opposite. There's a yin and there's a yang. There's a polar opposite. And when you begin to understand people, especially those that has placed their business out there for public consumption, right? And you're in the public group chat, right? And you know these things. Well, I can sit here and say, okay, well, I know what she's good at. Okay. And I know what this person is good at. And so let me talk about what she's good at. And what she's good at right now is boxing. Okay. And I know she's an elitist in boxing. And, I'm going to talk about her focus on boxing and what she's good at. And what she's not good at, I can only suggest that she keeps private, right? Keep private, and I explained in that live a different perception of what secrecy is, right? I explained what secrecy is, okay, and why secrecy, how to understand secrecy in a different essence of understanding, and why secrecy is because secrecy keeps other essences of consciousness from contaminating what your intentions are. Be it good, be it bad, right? Okay? Because in neutrality, we don't see good or bad. It just is, okay? But if you don't want anything to come into the midst of that to contaminate what it is that you're trying to do energetically, you have to keep it to yourself until whatever you are pushing through in essence of creation has grounded itself and stabilized. Otherwise, people can come in and influence it energetically influence it. So that's why how secrecy comes into commencement. All right. But, I can speak in the regards of the other available realities that are out there that one can potentially experience and express. But if you don't make people aware that these options are available, and yes, somebody gonna come onto this live and be like, she's delusional. I ain't worried about what you got to say, because I already know where you operating from. And if you say that I'm delulu, I'm just gonna look at you and laugh and be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you ain't got no argument. I already know that what some of y'all gonna say. See, the difference is I already know what some of y'all gonna say. Y'all just don't know what I'm gonna say until I say it. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all rocking the limited consciousness. I chose to expand my awareness. It's all about choice. So I kind of already know what y'all gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just waiting for the words to come out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that's the stark difference. Okay, but we can speak life into what it is that we would like to see experience, and to also begin to show, for those of us that are expanded in essence of awareness, we could begin to put out there the other options that are available. Now, whether or not they decide to choose it, that's something entirely different. Cosmo say he's cooking chicken fajitas with rice, side salad with apples. Oh, okay, you eating healthy, my brother. That's what's up. I need to be doing the same thing, because I done gained 15 pounds. And I got to figure out how to get these 15 pounds off. It's all right, though. 15 pounds of love. 15 pounds of love. Love. All right. But yeah, so you're going to find over here that even with me saying these stories, I'm going to present my perception of what the other expanded options of, experiences in this light could potentially be. Because remember, it's infinite possibilities. I can only give what I have afforded myself in an expanded awareness to offer. Yes, absolutely. More. Yeah. Oh, more to love. Yeah. More to love. Oh, okay. Thank you. I got to say, offer more love, but yes, more to love. Okay. Indeed. But yes, expanded awareness, offer the possibility of another reality that can be chosen when one is ready to choose. But yeah, you gotta get that dysregulation under control, and in order to do that, you have to subtract. Okay, you gotta subtract. You gotta let it go, so that more light can come in. So with that being said, you guys, you beautiful people that I have been here to express myself through, I am so divinely grateful. I love you guys immensely. I'm there with you. I'm grateful though. Hey, it's more to love. It is what it is. My husband said I look more healthy. My face is more fuller because my face looked like it was just going through some vines. So he kind of like it, but I'm feeling it. So I'm ready to let go a little bit of it. Even if I don't get rid of the full 15, I'm at least get rid of like 7 or 8 of it. Just the kind of, because I don't like how I feel in my midsection, so I'm at least get rid of 7 or 8 of it. But I'm grateful though. I'm still grateful. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day. You're my neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? And the reason why I say that is because living in the present moment allows you for all these beautiful sacred pauses that you can now partake in when you have, all of these opportunities for misalignment to come into commencement into your reality that wants to, wants to see a reflection. You know what I'm saying? It wants you to like come down and say, are you still with the program? And you can just pause. And then you can just stand firm to your reality chosen to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good over here. I'm great. It's nice. It's beautiful. Mary says, me either. I'm grateful for my blessing. My horses get fed first. I know that's right. Okay. Indeed. Well, you guys, I have some things to do. I got my husband's stuff that I have to do. And I stopped all of that. I stopped what I needed to do for my husband just so that I could get all that out. Y'all see I'm ready. I ain't even ready for the camera. I'm ready for the street. And I was going to go on the road, and I put on my street attire, and I'm like, nah, I got to get this out right now. And I just jumped on camera. But I'm glad that I did, and I'm grateful. All right. So with that being said, I hope that you guys got something out of what I said, and it resonated with you, and and that's wonderful if it did. And for those of you guys that are seeing this replay, oh, thank you, Mary. I'm grateful. Thank you. For those of you guys that are looking at this on the replay, if you for Pi Sovereign Signature, my channel, and for those of you guys that don't know about my channel right now, it's Pi Sovereign Signature on YouTube. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel and comment. I will be so grateful. And only share any video that I do only with beings that you feel that it would be in resonance with it, because I don't want you guys having no kind of long diatribe or argument or anything like that. Only for beings that you feel that will benefit and resonance with what this is actually saying. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you. Always informative. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. And like I said, thank you guys for everything and the support. And I'm just grateful, and always be in the present moment. That's my thing right now, just absorbing and being in the present moment, because the present moment is what truly matters. And if you maintain that present moment, and I'm going to talk about this too, about the neuroplasticity. That's another thing that I'm going to talk about too. I got a whole list of stuff that I was going to talk about, the neuroplasticity and all this different type of stuff and everything. Yeah, I got a whole little list going on around here. And so, we're going to get into all of that. And I'm so very grateful. So with that being said, I love you guys. And I'll talk to you guys on the next go around. All right. Love you guys.